We talked about consecutive even integers, consecutive odd integers, and consecutive integers. When we had just plain old consecutive integers, what did the pattern go up by? 1. It went up by 1. X plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3. Okay. When we had consecutive even integers, what did the pattern go up by? 2. X plus 2, x plus 4, and so forth. When we had consecutive odd integers, what did the pattern go up by? 2. X plus 2, x plus 2, x plus 4, and so forth. We are going to be using that pattern on what we are fixing to do in this life segment tonight. Okay? In our life segment here tonight. Okay. What we are going to do with this is we are going to look at some problems in which we are going to express some things in terms of x again. So we're going to start off, and the first one says that if x is the first consecutive integer, excuse me, I said that wrong. If x is the first of 2 consecutive integers, express the sum of the first and the second integer in terms of x. Okay, notice, let's look at this. Let's do some analyzing of what this is saying here. Let me just get this little thing out of our way. Okay, notice it says on this that if x is the first of 2 consecutive integers. Now that tells me something. That tells me what pattern I'm looking at. And it always works well to go ahead and list that pattern. So we're going to do a let statement. And we've got 2 consecutive integers. So if we've got 2 consecutive integers, we've got a first consecutive integer, which we'll call x, because it said x was the first one. And then we're going to have a second consecutive integer. And if they're just plain old consecutive integers, what is the pattern? Plus 1. So the second one will be x plus 1 because they go up by 1. So we now know what we're calling our first and second consecutive integer. Now let's look again at what this is saying up here. When we look again at it, I want you to notice that it's talking about the sum. What arithmetic operation are we dealing with when we're dealing with the sum? Addition. We're adding, aren't we? Okay, let's look at what we're adding. We're adding the first, and we're adding that first to the second integer. So what we're going to do with this is we are going to write that out. We're going to look down here, and what was our first integer? X. And we're to add to that the second integer, which is? What is the second integer? Say it loud. You know, it's not just 1. X plus 1. So we're going to have x, and we're going to add it to all of the second integer, which is x plus 1. This was your first. This right here was your second integer. First and second. Now let's clean it up. What is 1x plus 1x? So we've got 2x plus what? 1. And that's what they're wanting. That is it. That is the expression in terms of x. These are critical thinking problems. You've got to think about what they're saying, and you've got to think about what the words mean. Let's do another one like this. Actually, I'm going to give you this one and see if you can do it, and then we'll look at it together. So this is one for you and your neighbor to work on. And then we will look at the answer together, okay? The problem says that if x is the first of two consecutive even integers, express the sum of the first and second in terms of x. Simplify if possible. Okay, you and your neighbor work on this for a few minutes and let's see if you can't figure it out. I think you can. Looking at this one, the first thing we're going to do is analyze what it's asking us to find. Now you will notice on this one that it starts out here and it says to us that x is the first of two consecutive, that blue didn't show up on your screen, did it? Okay, let's change the color so maybe it'll show up. Okay, the two consecutive even integers. So this tells us that we're going to have two consecutive even integers involved. So let's go ahead and write the pattern for two consecutive even integers. So if we write our pattern for two consecutive even integers, our first consecutive even integer is, what are we going to call it? Okay, our second consecutive even integer, what are we going to call it? X plus 2, that's right, only plus, not equals there. 2. And we only had 2, right? Okay, so we've taken care of that part. The next thing is, notice it says we want the sum of the first, we're adding that to the second. So we're going to come down here, and what's going to be happening here is we're going to take our first, we're going to add it to our second. Well, we said our first was x. We're going to add that to our second, which is x plus 2. Now, simplify it. What's x and x? So I have 2x plus 2. With me there? Okay, now we're going to take this concept of these integers another step here on it. Let's look at the following problem. Let me get a new page. Okay, this particular problem says that the sum of 3 consecutive even integers is 144. We are going to find the integers. Okay, now let's analyze what this is saying. This starts out and it says we're going to be dealing with the sum. So we're going to be adding something. We're going to be dealing with the sum of 3 consecutive even integers. This right here tells me a couple of things. One thing that tells me is it tells me I need to find the pattern for 3 consecutive even integers. So I'm going to start out and I'm going to write down that pattern. So we're going to start out, we're going to say, okay, I'm going to let, oops, that's not spelled right. I'm going to let my first consecutive even integer, I'm going to let it be x. I'm going to let my second consecutive even integer be what? X plus 2, because the pattern is even integers go up by 2. How many of them do I have this time? 3. So I need a third consecutive even integer. And if it goes up by 2, what do I have this time? X plus 4. Now let's look again. Are there questions to there? Okay, let's look again at it. Looking again at it, it says the sum. Sum means what I get when I add up these 3 integers. So it says I'm going to take the first, and so in other words, what that sum of the three integers is saying to me, it's saying that I'm going to take the first one, I'm going to add it to the second one, I'm going to add that to the third one, and then that's going to, that is means equals, that's going to be equal to 144. So I can put that together. My first one was x. My second one was x plus 2. My third one is x plus 4. And all that's going to be equal to 144. We're going to clean this up. Look at what we've got. We've got 1x plus 1x plus 1x. What does that add to? 3x. Then we've got 2 plus 4. What does that add to? So we've got a plus 6, and it's all equal to 144. Okay, the last thing tonight before I give you your homework is you're to solve that equation and answer the question, which was find those three consecutive even integers. You may work together. Okay, I ask you to, let me make sure this is working. Okay, it is. Okay, I ask you to solve this equation. What did you do to solve this equation? Did you go through your questions? Are there any parentheses? Any like terms on the left of the equal? No. Any like terms on the right of the equal? No. What side is the variable on? Left. Is there anything added or subtracted to or from the variable? And what was it? Plus 6. And how do we undo plus 6? Subtract 6. So you had to subtract 6 from both sides. Okay, and when you subtracted 6 from both sides, you got 3x, because these 6's went to 0, equals 138. Did I subtract right? Yep. Good. And then how was the 3 connected to the x? Multiplication. So we're going to undo multiplication by dividing both sides by 3. So that gives me x, 1x, equals, let's see, that'll go in there, 46. Did I do it right in my head? So I got x was 46. Now let's scroll back up for just a minute here. There's something I want you to look at up here. When we defined our integers, x stood for which one? First one. And to get the second one, we have to go up by 2. So my first one is 46. Then my second one has to be 48, and then my third one would have to be 50 because they went up by 2. Now you can check this one really easy because the problem said that the sum of the three consecutive even integers had to be 144. So add those up. Do you get 144? You do? Good. So we know these are our three consecutive integers, even integers. Questions? Okay, listen up to me. Here is your homework. Okay. Okay. I am not giving you any turn-in homework. I am giving you some check in the back of the book homework. The check in the back of the book homework is 2.2, what is on the assignment sheet, and on 2.4, I want you, and that is over on page 124, I want you to do problem 5 and 7. Folks, you did your first application problem just a minute ago without even knowing you were doing it. And a hint on this 5 and 7 is look at what it says about consecutive integers, or even or odd integers, okay? Now, what about Monday night? No class Monday night, folks. I don't want to see you Monday night here at the college. I'll see you Wednesday night. Yes. Oh, yes. Before you run off, and I've still got 5 minutes of your time, I'll give you test back. Yeah, there's no classes Monday or Tuesday at the college.